Chen. Welcome back. Today I'm with Dr. Shon Neyland, and we're discussing the chapters of his book, which are I'm Sorry and Forgiveness. The great philosopher Gandhi said that the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong.
Yes.
Dr. Neyland, how do you draw a connection between what Gandhi says and trust, forgiveness, and reconciliation?
Yes, that's a great starting point for this segment, because what Gandhi was talking about is that it takes strength to really forgive someone. One of the biggest problems in relationships today is the lack of forgiveness, holding grudges, doing tit for tat. If you did this to me, I'm going to do it to you. But again, unconditional love means I look beyond the faults of the other and I see the need. It really does take a strong person to forgive the other and to say, wait a minute, I see your mistake. I see that you weren't really trying to hurt me. I want to forgive you. Now, what if they were really trying to hurt me? I know you did this on purpose. Yet, Gandhi talks about that strong person having the ability to forgive.
How do you stay strong if you're in a relationship with someone for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, and you realize that that person has been cheating on you, that person is having an affair? That's the most hurtful thing in this world, and that reduces your self-esteem and your perception of life. Everything changed all of a sudden.
Yes.
And how do you recover from that, and how do you still be loving to the other person?
To love a person after the affair is difficult, but I talk about it in the book. It is possible. It's a slow process. Yes, that is one of the toughest things to forgive. You're correct, because it deals with hurt, it deals with trust, it deals with breaking the marital vows. But forgiveness is really the glue that will hold the marriage together. In fact, I start off the book, I'm going to say this most profound statement. I want everyone to listen to this. The lack of forgiveness in your relationship will lead to failure. If there's no forgiveness, it will lead to failure. Now, that person having an affair or cheating definitely is a showstopper for some, and rightly so. Even from biblical perspective, Jesus talked about in his in one of the Gospels, the Gospel of Matthew, that we should forgive. But he says, don't divorce for every reason. People were divorcing left and right. Oh, you burnt the toast. I don't like the way you look anymore. I'm going to leave you. Jesus said, no, 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 no. Stop doing that. Although it seems like it happens in our society today, right now, people divorce for every reason. But he says, if someone has an affair, then that might be cause for a divorce. So it's very tough when you have an affair because of the emotional pain, the hurt. It is very difficult to get over. But how can I forgive someone, you're asking me? How can I forgive you or my spouse if they cheat? It will take time. If the two work together, through counseling, by the way, professional help, that will begin the process of reconciliation. It's a very arduous process. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. Oh, you had an affair, I'm just going to forgive you. The other side to that, too, is that some people have affairs and they get forgiveness from a spouse and they go right back out and they do the same thing again, unfortunately.
Before people decide to look for help and seeking for counseling, there are steps for them to take to make a decision together to move forward. What are the steps?
So it's very difficult to explain it all here, but I'll give you a quick rundown. The steps begin with first looking at each other and saying, what do we really want for the relationship? It really takes an honest look. You have to look at each other. If there's been an affair, if there's been an egregious act such as that, then it takes, number one, being honest with each other. Number two, finding out what do you want. So you have to confess to it. You have to be honest about it. But then you have to say, what do we want? Do you want to be in this marriage or not? And that may be the part that you have to work through. So number three would be, which will tie to number two, is go to a counselor and begin to work on that process of what the hurt is and what the pain that this affair is brought into the marriage. And we need to explore the causes of the affair. What is it? Because the person didn't love one? Most of the time that's not the case. They love each other, but the affair comes about because they feel their needs are not being met. Oh, my physical needs are not being met. My emotional needs are not. This other person brought me comfort. They made me feel good about myself. I felt alive again. And so those are the kind of things that happens in marriages and that leads to affairs. So we need to diagnose what those kinds of things are in the counseling session, unpack that, and then find out what we want for the marriage. Where do we go from there? So it's more complicated than I gave you, but those are some essential steps that can help a couple right now, even if they're listening, to begin that process of reconciliation.
Dr. Shon Neyland, talking about I'm sorry, forgiveness in his book, Loving When You Don't Feel Like It. Thank you, Dr. Shon Neyland.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
All right.